consider that this flow looks like this. It's a large wave. As a matter of fact, we know that large gravity waves move throughout the universe. And let's say there are other waves that layer upon those, and other waves of potentiality, and other waves of potentiality in the membranes and the various levels of existence. Let's consider that time, in quantum mechanics, the original quantum physics, time started here and it progressed to there, right? In other words, it was a linear progress. But now we're beginning to think that time is this way. That it actually moves through the dimensions, and consciousness is available on any and all of the dimensions simultaneously, depending upon where we actually place our attention. Okay? Now, for a soul, what does attention look like? And I'm not talking about a mind. In a mind, your attention is like, it has to do with focus and direction, and sometimes we have to struggle to get there. We've got to shape up the agenda of the day, set our priorities, and burrow into those priorities and say, this is the number one thing I have my attention on. And we'll surround it with planning and agendas. You know how to put your attention on something with your mind. But how do you put your attention on something with your soul? Yeah, it's a critical question. Be the love that you are. In a particular place and time, a particular set of circumstances, with a particular opportunity to love and serve, to heal, to actualize yourself, to transform an environment, to be the love that you are. It's the one way you can actually transform an environment without interfering with its free will. We have to honor the free will. You see, without knowing it, without a formal explanation of what I was doing, that's what I was doing, painting on the balcony with the children, being with them, being the love that I was. I didn't interfere with their free will. I didn't tell them they had to wear shoes or stay out on the street. Maybe somebody needed to tell them that. Surely they needed some kind of socialization and loving social direction, but that wasn't my role. That wasn't my place to do that. My opportunity to love and serve was to be there and just to be a presence in their life. And they honored that with a reflective presence of their own. An interesting thing, I think about this. I think about the symbol for the sign of Aquarius, the layering of the waves. It also represents community. And as we see this arrow move through that, it's almost like the beak of a bird and the wings of a bird, like the image of spirit, transforming each layer it moves through. But my opinion of how to be, how to put your attention on something with your soul, is acceptance, tolerance, attentiveness, readiness. Remember the things, the protocols I gave you yesterday? We're going to talk about it. We're just beginning on this subject, though. This is opening up a big subject. How to place your attention with your soul. How to be there without having to first figure it out with your mind. Because remember, your mind is made up of all your yesterdays and how you understood and explained all your yesterdays. Your mind, in many ways, is a data processing center. It's a data summarizing center. And it has to have input to work. An empty mind it is like a computer with no program and no data in it. So it takes the data, integrates the data in the programs, and then it has outputs. And hopefully the output is beneficial and useful. Minds are valuable too. They're valuable to have. But not if we make them the totality of our life when we try to create our life. from inside our mind. Because for the most part, a mind is centered in whatever dimension of reality it understands. In whatever dimension of reality it can receive data from. We were talking about the five senses yesterday. Well, there are more than five senses, but nevertheless, because the mind is an input resource, it takes knowledge from these senses. And if that's all we have to work with, we think that's all there is. And so we have to dare to know that there's something inside us that's bigger than our mind and is more available to the universe than our mind. Let's see, we are...